Once upon a time, in the bustling and expensive city of Brightville, there lived the Smith family. The family consisted of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and their two children, Emma and Jack. Life in Brightville was fast-paced and costly. Despite working very hard, Mr. and Mrs. Smith struggled to make ends meet. The high cost of living meant that they could barely afford the basics, let alone provide the best opportunities for their children. Emma and Jack were bright and full of dreams. Emma loved to draw and dreamed of becoming an artist, while Jack loved to read and wanted to be a writer. However, the busy streets of Brightville offered little space for imagination and creativity, and their cramped apartment made it hard for them to pursue their passions. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, Mr. Smith spoke up. "I've been thinking," he said. "Maybe it's time for a change. What if we moved to a quieter, more affordable city? We could find a place where Emma and Jack can have more space to grow and learn." Mrs. Smith nodded in agreement. "I've heard great things about Greenfield. It's smaller, but it has good schools and a strong sense of community. It might be just what we need." The children listened with wide eyes. The thought of moving to a new place was exciting and a little scary, but they trusted their parents' decision. A few weeks later, the Smith family packed up their belongings and said goodbye to Brightville. They drove for hours until they reached Greenfield, a city surrounded by rolling hills and lush green parks. The air was fresh and the streets were calm, a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of Brightville. Their new home was a cozy house with a small garden. Emma immediately fell in love with the flowers and trees, and Jack couldn't wait to explore the quiet nooks perfect for reading. As the days passed, the Smith family settled into their new life. Emma had a whole room to herself where she could draw to her heart's content, and Jack found a beautiful library close to home. They made new friends and felt the sense of belonging that they had never experienced before. One night, as the family gathered in the living room, Mrs. Smith looked around at her happy children and smiled. "This was the right choice," she said softly. Mr. Smith nodded in agreement. "Our new beginning has given us everything we hoped for." Emma and Jack hugged their parents tightly. They felt safe, loved, and excited about the future. As they prepared for bed, they whispered, "Thank you, Mom and Dad. We love our new home." With hearts full of gratitude, the Smith family drifted off to sleep, knowing that sometimes a new place can bring the happiness and opportunities they've always dreamed of. Love you. Good night.